Basketball is finally back, albeit preseason. We're going to talk about it right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome back to a Whole Lot of Bull. I'm Troy. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Troy, but more importantly, you can follow the show at Whole Lot of Bull. So, Chicago Bulls basketball is finally back, and albeit preseason, and the Bulls open the preseason with a hard fought victory with a 118 to 117 over the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland. And obviously, this is a game where the Bulls did not start very well. Turnovers, nothing was flowing. But looking on Bulls Twitter as this game was being played, you would think that the sky was already falling in and it was halfway through the season already. It was the first quarter, first half of the first game of preseason. What did y'all expect? The things that were going to start clicking straight away? Calm the fuck down. But it was the first game for Isaac Okoro in a Bulls jersey. We got to see Noah Sengay play some minutes in the late third quarter and majority of the fourth quarter. And like nobody in this game played more than no more than like 19. No one went over 20 minutes in this game. And the least amount of minutes played was 12 minutes by the bald headed Javon Carter, who had and he put in a bit of a solid effort himself. Now, as I just mentioned, yeah, things didn't wasn't really going very well for the Bulls to start this game. And when you haven't played a game together in 6 months, and you've got new players on the floor, like Isaac Okoro is new to the team. Dosunmu, although not new, has come back from a serious injury. I think that shoulder separated 5 times before the Bulls medical staff finally decided to put him under the knife and get it fixed. So it's good to see him back on the court. And obviously, towards the end of the game, the rookie Noah Essenga gets some tick as well. But to me, what I'm looking for in preseason games, like all 5 of them in general, like I don't care about the score. I don't care whether shots are dropping. Turnovers can, depending on how the what the kind of turnovers are. But for the most part, I'm just looking for things. To me, with preseason, I'm looking for effort related things. Now, are these turnovers coming from poor effort? No. These turnovers were coming from trying to create something that they've been working on through training camp so far, and it is very different when you actually going up against opposition teams as opposed to going to get up against your own teammates in training camp. It's a huge difference. You've got to work out how other teams are going to respond to what you're trying to run. And we look at the turnover situation now. Obviously, most of the turnovers were done very early in this game. The Bulls end up with 26. There was 26 turnovers for this game. Most of that damage was done in the first half. Like to be quite frank with you, and you see Isaac Okoro, he had 5 turnovers. But, again, he's trying to adjust to a new team, a new system, new teammates. Minus, what was it? Kevin Herter only had 3. So outside of Isaac Okoro, nobody had more than 5 turnovers in this game. Most outside of that was 3. And then looking through each individual player as well. Now we'll start with Isaac Okoro making his debut. 17 and a half minutes for the Bulls. You know, 11 points of 3-7 shooting, 2 or 6 from downtown. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. Obviously, with to go with those 5 turnovers I did just mention. But it was his defensive efforts that I was looking to see what he's gonna bring to this team, especially now with Coby White being out. Both Isaac Okoro and Kevin Huerter get the start in this game. Now they're the 2 players that most people have put down as the likely to be that starting 3. And even though only a one guy well, a very, very small one-game sample size, but even based on things on training camp, right now you would have to dare say that Isaac Okoro is gonna be in the lead for that starting small forward position. Now, Martis Buzelis, you can see that he has definitely gotten stronger. You know, he plays 18 minutes, goes 7-11 from the field, including 2 of 5 from downtown, gets to the free throw line, excuse me, 4 times, has 8 rebounds, 5 of them offensively, which is, you know, another hustle stat. Now, rebounds can be are considered, you know, obviously apart from those ones where everyone's starting to run back, for the most part, getting offensive rebounds is a hustle stat, in my opinion. So he finishes with 19 points, as well. Now, Nikola Vucevic in his 19 minutes, very interesting here. He only gets 3 shots in this game, and goes over. So 103, 2 from beyond the arc. Does have the 6 rebounds as well. Kevin Herter. Now, for anyone who's a shooter and not someone who can make shots, but as actual shooters, you do know that shooters need a rhythm. They need to be in a rhythm. They need to be get going. So Kevin Herter, you know, first game, obviously, like everyone else, goes 1 for 7 from the field in this game, including 1 for 3 from downtown, with 3 rebounds and 3 assists. And then Josh Giddey, who plays the least amount of minutes of the starters, just 13 and a half minutes. He only has the 3 points, 1 for 4 shooting, misses both 3-point attempts. He opened the scoring with a nice drive to the basket, getting fouled. So he splits the free throws there and does come away with 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals as well. Now, these are not steals that just fell into his lap. These were steals that, you know, he did actually create for himself as well by, you know, and his defense actually did look quite reasonable in this game as and picking off passes that he read. You know, it's not just like, you know, go back to that Lakers game last year in LA where some of those 8 steals just fell into his lap. No, these were steals that Josh Giddey being proactive and being in the right positions, he created those steals for himself. Now, Trey Jones off the bench, he finishes with the 10 points in 19 minutes, 4 or 5 from the field. He also has 4 steals himself in this game. And Trey Jones is going to be one of those guys for this team that he's going to be a pesky player for opposition teams off the bench for Chicago. Now, a lot of people say when he signed that 3-year, $24 million deal that that's an overpay for a player of Trey Jones's caliber. Well, based on what we saw at the end of last season and obviously just in this one preseason game, he's probably going to show you that he is worth $8 million a year. Now, I mentioned Aya Dosunmu. His first came back after shoulder surgery, so great to see Aya healthy. He finishes in like 19 minutes of play, 5 or 6 from the field, hits both his threes, 3 rebounds, 12 points in this game. But Io doing what we know Io does. He's jack of all trades. He's gonna get he can put points on the board. He can hit the outside 3. Great defender. Probably like definitely going to be our best 2-way player on this team. And I saw someone I'm not sure if it was the comments with Hayes on Chicago Bulls Central of maybe that brief period of time, or it might have even been on Locked On Bulls with Hayes and Pat the designer. Someone said that Io's now too old to trade. He's 26, going on 27 years old. He's too old to trade. Might as well just hang on to him now. What the what? How is a 27-year-old too old to trade now? He's at the start of his prime. I don't understand that thought process, but at the end of the day, I assume is not a player I want to trade. I is the type of player that when the Bulls get to the position where they want to be. He's the type of player you need. So this is a guy that, hey, we've already got him here. It's I guarantee it's going to take one hell of a mother offer to pry Dosunmu out of Chicago. And quite frankly, if I think if it comes down to it, if the Bulls themselves were forced to pick between Kobe and Io, like I've said in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be Io. I mean, being a Chicago kid, what he does, what he brings to this team as a player. Forget that he's from Chicago. What he is as a basketball player, you cannot let that go. Julian Phillips didn't do much in his just under 12 minutes. Doesn't score. Does commit a couple of fouls, but you know, donuts in the points, rebounds, and assists. He does have a block in there, in the one turnover, but no real impact there from Julian Phillips whatsoever. Dalen Terry. Now, go over the numbers real quick. Just under 17 minutes of play, two or three from the field, has the 4 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. But the defensive presence he had, especially in that clutch moment there against Thomas Bryant to get that block to ultimately win the Bulls the game. Now, I know there's people out there like, Kelder, who suggest that Dalen Terry's long-term position is going to be guarding fours. I'm sorry, like maybe the smaller fours. Like he's gonna be guarding one through three for the most part. But obviously he got that block on Thomas Bryant. Now this is how I see it. Now, if you disagree, let me know in the comments down below. How I saw that play unfold with Dalen Terry is that the Cleveland was obviously very quickly running out of time, and I think Thomas Bryant made a bad decision to try and bring the ball up himself. Thomas Bryant, not exactly known for his ball handling, and to me, it looked like he was kind of out of control a little bit, which allowed Dalen Terry with his speed and athleticism to stay there with Thomas Bryant, because Thomas Bryant had himself in a position where he wasn't going to be able to physically outmuscle Dalen Terry, and that allowed Dalen Terry to be able to stay there, right there with him, get up and block the shot. So yeah, massive play there from Dalen Terry, and then on with point 3 of a second left, obviously they try and go again to Thomas Bryant with the lob at the basket, and he gets stuffed by Jalen Smith to close out the game. Zach Collins off the bench now. Big scoring output there from Zach Collins. He finishes with 16 points of 7 of 8 from the field, including one of 2 from beyond the arc. Now, I did notice as well, and I think remembering a rule that the NBA has brought in, and I think the NBL has actually brought it in themselves. Any last second heaves at the buzzer to end the quarters, if a player misses, they actually scrap that from the player's own personal statistics. So that's why I'd assume it was 2 or 2 instead of 2 or 3. So, hey, my personal opinion on that, like, hey, it makes the players' numbers look a little bit better, but at the end of the day, the players still took the shot. They don't have to take the shot. So I still think it should count on to the players' stats. That's just my own personal opinion on that one. Now, getting to Jalen Smith, as I just mentioned, who had that final block on Thomas Bryant. So 15 minutes of play, a terrible shooting performance from Jalen Smith. Goes 1 for 8 from the field overall, including none of 6 from downtown. But does have the 9 rebounds to go in this game. So hitting the boards, even though he couldn't hit water from a boat in the middle of the ocean in this game. It does have that last second block, or last 0.3 second block, if you want to be more accurate about it. Now, Patrick Williams. This is a guy who I'm basically done with. I have 0 expectations of Patrick Williams. So to me, anything that he actually gives you in a positive sense is an absolute bonus. So for me, based on my expectations that I have on Patrick Williams going into this season, he had a damn good game. Yeah, was it 16, almost 16 and a half minutes, goes 3 from the field, makes his only 3, gets to the free throw line 6 times in this game. going 4 or 6 from the free throw line. 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 11 points in this game. Now, most people go, well, that's just a typical Patrick Williams stat line. And in a sense, you're not wrong. But for me personally, I'm no longer looking at this as Patrick Williams, the starter. Patrick Williams, who should have a sizable role on this team. To me, Patrick Williams is just now that ninth, 10th, 11th guy that's sitting on your bench. I have no expectations anymore of Patrick Williams, so anything positive that he does bring to the Chicago Bulls is a bonus as far as I'm concerned. Yuki Karamura. Now, obviously, Bulls fans losing their minds right from the first quarter. They wanted to see Yuki in this game. I do have a question though. If he wasn't if he wasn't 5'7" and it wasn't a Asian sensation, would the hype around Yuki be that big? Like, what if it was just a normal 6'3" guy like me? Would the hype be that much on Yuki Kawamura? Now, there's gonna be a number of fans out there saying, "Well, Yuki Kawamura needs to take Josh Giddey's place in the starting lineup. Yuki Kawamura is the point guard of the future." Shut the fuck up. Just shut up. Like, Yuki Kawamura is a great little story. Being a 5'7", only for 5'7", and we all know Yuki got destroyed defensively, and that's no through any fault of his own. The dude's only 5'7". Can't expect him to be a lockdown fender, but he got cooked. So it's up to the rest of the team as well to help Yuki when he is on the court. But you're only let's just be perfectly clear here. You're only going to see Yuki Kawamura in a NBA Chicago Bulls uniform here in preseason, and if he gets called up and when he does get called up from the Windy City Bulls in the G League, the only time you're going to see him on the court is when it's a blowout one way or the other. You're not going to see him get any meaningful NBA minutes with his team. Not when you got Josh Giddey, not when you got Trey Jones, not when you got Dosunmu. Isaac. At that point guard, there are guys that can rotate through and play point guard. Coby White. When you've got these guys on this roster, Yuki Kawamura, I'm sorry, he's not gonna see any meaningful minutes for the Chicago Bulls. He's just not. So if you wanna watch Yuki Kawamura play meaningful basketball in terms of minutes played, you're gonna have to watch the Windy City Bulls. It's just how it is. I'm sorry. Noah Essengay, the rookie, now he plays, 13 and a half minutes in that final quarter and a bit. And someone mentioned in Hayes's post game show on Chicago Bulls Central that he looked lethargic. In what way did Noah Essengay look lethargic whatsoever? Now, as Hayes said, now did he look? We could give it to this person if you think he looked timid or a little bit overwhelmed or anything like that. But lethargic? Hell no. This guy was active. He was chasing down rebounds, and if he didn't get him himself, the guy tried to commit. I'm gonna be careful what I say, but he almost tried to kill someone in this game. I don't remember who he went. It might have been Thomas Bryant, but there was a drive where Noah Essengay came down the lane and tried to kill him. But he got the foul, went to the free throw line. He gets to the free throw line 4 times, so 3 or 4, to go with his 8 points and 5 rebounds in this game. So it's only one preseason game, but based on that and even going back to the summer league, how Noah progressed throughout the course of summer league, I've don't be surprised if Noah Essengay is getting some not big minutes to start the season. I totally expect he's going to spend some time in the G League. But Noah's defense is gonna get him minutes to this team. There's no ifs or buts about it. Like, he's already played professional basketball overseas for a couple of years, so he's been playing professionally since he was 16 years old. Now, some can talk down the league that he was in with, I think it was German, where he's playing for Ulm. I mean, I don't know the standards of the league, but, like, I think Hayes and Pat on Locked On Bulls compared it to, I think it was Hayes compared it to basically the G League. And to me, that's a fair comparison. If you wanna use that if that's a comparison that other people wanna make, hey, Noah's gonna benefit from that totally. I remember last year, um, when Orm went over to the USA and played against the Portland Trail Blazers. He scored 20, 21 points in that game. So he's got experience there playing against grown men. And he has that experience playing against an NBA team last year in the Portland Trail Blazers. So he's already got a taste for it. So yes, Noah is definitely gonna have to, over the next couple of years, put some more muscle on that frame of his. But in terms of the immediate impact that he could potentially make, now he's and this is gonna be I can see him end up taking Patrick Williams' spot not too far in the distant future. If Patrick Williams is going to be that 10th guy, don't it don't be surprised if Noah Essengay takes his spot in the not too distant future. Because Noah Essengay is one thing that we haven't seen from Patrick Williams, and I'll give Patrick Williams credit this. He did some back screen, like did some back cuts today, which Josh Giddey found him for a nice basket. So Patrick was far more active today than what we've generally seen him. But Noah Essengay at 18 years of age, already doing this, already having the IQ to to cut away from the ball, and his defensive IQ that he's already got at such a young age. Yeah, I totally see Noah Essengay end up taking Patrick Williams' spot in the not too distant future. Don't be shocked by it whatsoever. And then finally, Javon Carter in this game, 12 minutes, had a solid impact. Considering that, considering that, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care if it's preseason. There's no need for Javon Carter minutes whatsoever. I don't need to see Javon Carter on the court for the Chicago Bulls. Just take your place back on the end of the bench, waving towels and supporting your teammates. I don't need to see you on the court. Collect your check, just sitting on the bench. But he goes 4 or 7 in this game, 2 or 5 from beyond the arc. Does have the 10 points and 2 assists. Hey, I'm not going to give Javon Carter much more anything than that, because I frankly don't need to see him on the court. And as far as the two-way guy, now obviously we know that Coby White was missing in this game, so now the Bulls are definitely going to bring him along slowly. I almost wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him in the preseason at all. If we do, it might be in the final game, maybe two, but in very, very limited minutes, because obviously they want to be very cautious with that calf injury. So obviously outside of Coby White, now I'm going to bring in my Aussie bias homer here. Kind of pissed off that Lockie Ulbrich didn't play. Billy, what the fuck, man? Come on, get him. Even just give him 2 minutes out there with Josh Giddey. Just 2 minutes. That's all I ask. But yeah, like you see, Lockie Ulbrich obviously didn't play in this game, as well as Emmanuel Miller and Mohamed Gay, if I'm pronouncing that last name correctly. But yeah, you see, Lockie sitting on the back bench there as well. So at one point when the TV camera was on looking at the Bulls bench, you can see Lockie Ulbrich sitting behind, I think, where Martis Bazalis was on the bench. It's like, yeah, Lockie ain't getting in this game, but hopefully, as an Aussie homer, being a little bit biased with my Adelaide guy, I do want to see him get some tick throughout in the preseason. But I'm going to I'm going to try and tune into some Windy City Bulls games this year to see Lockie Ulbrich play for the Windy City, because yeah, a bit like Yuki Karamura, outside of any preseason or potential or any blowouts one way or the other, Lockie Ulbrich's not getting any minutes as much as my Aussie heart would love it. But being a Bulls fan, being realistic, no, Lockie Albrecht's not going to see any meaningful time for the Chicago Bulls whatsoever this season. All right, so yeah, Bulls are back in action again against Cleveland again. I believe it was on Friday morning my time. I think yeah, it's Thursday night in Chicago, 7 p.m. tip off. So I believe that's a 10:30 a.m. start for me here in Adelaide. So that'll be a game I'll now. I did see today's game live because unfortunately I was home unwell. So I thought, hey, I might as well put the Bulls game on. Well, didn't have any intention of actually watching it until tonight my time, but I might even. But yeah, so on Friday, Friday after I am home from work, I'll watch the Bulls game then, and I'll bring you another video with my thoughts on that game. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of Whole Lotta Bull. Please like and subscribe to the page. Drop some comments down below. Am I tripping on some things? Am my expectations on certain players a little bit unrealistic? Maybe let me know. So until next time, Bulls fans, see you, Red. Be good.